Welcome. You're here for the first webinar of the month of November on design software. Today's session is called Impress Your Clients While Designing Smarter and Faster. And we have Kimberly Oliver with us. She's a 2020 trainer with 2020 Spaces. And Kimberly, if you're ready, we're ready to begin. Thank you.
Well, I sure am. Thanks, Debbie. And thank you all for joining us today. I'm coming to you from sunny Las Vegas. It's going to be in the 70s all week over here. So welcome to my West Coasters. I know it's early as we get going on the day. And welcome to our East Coasters that are enjoying us over lunch, hopefully. Today we're going to look at impressing your clients while designing smarter and faster. I do appreciate you all making the time to log in today, and I hope that while you're multitasking over there, you're able to grab a few takeaways from this, and ultimately then consider integrating some new technology into your design process. I'll highlight several um, different apps and platforms today that will aim to streamline those projects so you have less work time and more play time. I have been a kitchen and bath designer for almost 20 years now and have worked in several different demographics and different caliber of showrooms in the Midwest and now in the Southwest. So I've gained a feel for just how different each of our projects and our clientele can be in this industry. Not to mention the different levels of communication and time commitments that each one of them might require. It's my hope that a few of these discoveries today will help you connect your stellar creativity with some innovative tools so there's less of those tedious, time consuming tasks to take care of and more seamless, easy alignment on those projects. I'll highlight just a few techie applications that either I directly or one of my colleagues have used and have found that they've saved us time and energy and stress and aggravation. There's certainly more out there than what I will highlight today. So if there's anyone that you can share, I'd love to hear about your experience with it as well. Even things as simple as using Hey Siri on our iPhone. Um, and I just had to look over and see if that woke her up, but it didn't this time. On an iPhone to like add reminders and set appointments. Even things as simple as that to just utilize that technology stuff to um, make it a little easier on our brains. Um, because while technology can have its set of challenges, it definitely can be an asset when we can sort of manipulate it, I suppose, to leverage it in the way we need. So if something comes to mind, feel free to type in a message so we can discuss it and share. There are several tools out there that will help to capture inspiration photos and ideas, as well as all those crucial details between you and your clients that are essential for a successful project. The goal is that they keep you working in the field efficiently and intuitively instead of feeling like you're held hostage in the office, constantly updating or following up, um, having to touch base with clients continually. Um, there are several out there for just about any task. There's also a whole genre of marketing that's dedicated directly to homeowners, right? And that lead them to believe they might not even need us. They might not even need the help of a professional. I mean, we certainly love how HGTV and their 30-minute remodels make it seem like what we do is just, snap of a finger. However, we know that there are many times a homeowner might peek behind that curtain, and not only that process can be overwhelming, um, but it can quickly escalate kind of out of control. The amount of time needed to sift through all that product information, all the good, better, best options that are out there, and then all that media and marketing, all that propaganda aimed at that average do-it-yourselfer. How many times have we walked onto a job site that was kind of half attempted and then maybe abandoned for those reasons? Um, it's not fun to come in there. Of course, in the end, you end up looking like the hero, but that process of stepping in and kind of assessing where they're at can be a challenge too. And if we're lucky, um, we get to step in before all of that has begun. And our first plan of attack is simply to sift through all of their quote unquote research and anything that they've already attempted. So I feel like with all of that out there, it's even more important that we weed through all of that and have tools at our fingertips that can establish us as the expert and quickly gain that respect. But at the same time, not giving away our knowledge base for free. Sometimes it's a challenge when our product isn't necessarily tangible sometimes. And so we want to make sure that, all of that has value. And of course, it certainly doesn't hurt when we make all of the planning and sourcing and designing and coordinating that evaded them appear easy and effortless for us. Um, we know there's a lot of steps involved in this. To make a successful project and a happy client, there are things that happen that are orchestrated behind the scenes they have no idea about. So, if we were to stop and really think about how many steps are there, do you think, from that initial phone call or web lead or walk in visit to your showroom or studio, um, to that final handshake? Think about, all right, right, they walk in, they're getting all their information. We're getting information from them. We're trying to feel like, are they serious and what are they really looking for? A lot of times they know what they are looking for. They just don't know how to really explain it. Um, I would say if we stop and really break that down, there could easily be about 25 milestones to any project. Um, there is the fact-finding courtship phase and ordering samples and collecting deposits and presentations. Yes, plural, because there's typically more than one. As you review and perhaps even remeasure a job site, sure there's a couple of trips out there. I have made a couple of trips to job sites. Um, and then needing to rework drawings when they've changed their mind or maybe discovered a plan B option. And then we order products and track those products. Or then we may need to reorder them if they were damaged or missing components. We wear several hats because then we schedule deliveries and installations, perhaps yet another job site visit, discuss change orders. Uh, Finally, maybe we get to a few punch list items. all while not forgetting to take their temperature along the way and make sure that they're feeling important and heard and still think the world of you, to finally collecting that final payment, that final after sale walkthrough and handshake. There's got to be a way to make sure that this process flows seamlessly and avoids any miscommunication in those steps along the way, right? So perhaps we could integrate some technology into there. But I also realize that change is hard, especially when it comes to learning a new process. Or let's just double that learning curve when we get some new um, gadgets thrown into the mix. So I get it. Sometimes it's done kicking and screaming. Um, but if I want to just touch on that, there's ways to integrate those things by even just dipping your toe in that techie pond. So little habits can start at your own pace to see what then works best for your business. I also want to, I don't want to discredit, so I feel like it's important to take a moment um, to acknowledge that those beautiful hand renderings that you might provide to your clients and those trusty measuring tapes that we keep at our side, those shouldn't be simply dismissed or forgotten either. Your professional skills and talent are what set you apart, and you are what adds the value to that project. Um, you're ultimately what keeps your business relationship thriving and growing. So let's not completely forget about those. Um, However, one little trip to the water might be simply transitioning from measuring tapes and paper files and hand sketches to a digital measuring tool that can then integrate digital floor plans and notes. So, in an effort to just stay relevant with today's consumer and all of this AI or artificial intelligence in the marketplace, think of these tools as a way to enhance your process, not necessarily to replace it. Um, we'll also look at today job tracking software and interactive or even virtual reality renderings and presentations that can cut down on some of the monotonous double entry kinds of tasks and facilitate faster, more clear, perhaps concise communication with your client and within your team. How would your client react if they could walk their new space before product is even ordered? How might that change their experience or your sales process? With the current design software on the market, clients can completely envision their design before those costly installations are made, or perhaps have to be reworked when a client is surprised, let's say, because they didn't interpret things correctly. I know I may have had one or two clients that, even though it was on paper, even though it was signed for, even though we were on site and we taped it off and we did whatever we could do on site to mark up that space, they still might say at the end, "Oh, I didn't realize it was going to be like that." Um, so perhaps seeing it virtually might alleviate some of those little surprises. And when we use these types of technology, let's not necessarily replace or substitute the human element of the process. This is still a relationship business. Nobody wants to just feed a wish list into a computer and have it spit back a cookie cutter space. It is still you that they hire. So let's think of these things um, that can create alignment and complement your process. For example, let's look at one of the first steps that we typically take in the design process, that job site visit and measuring that space. If you consider using a digital measuring tool, there are apps that you can use to measure that space and then upload measurements directly into your design software. I mean, imagine the time you'd save. Take a look at one such as Magic Plan. This is one of those apps that lets you scan a room. You can even capture the doors and windows using a laser with a tablet or a smartphone on a job site. You then designate any openings and obstacles right there while you're on site as well. You can add notes, photos, mark up the preliminary plan as needed right there on site. There are several different software platforms that it will collaborate with and upload. My personal favorite would be 2020 Designs, of course, that you could upload to. And by the time you get back to the office, your measurements have been converted into a design ready floor plan and are waiting for you to then simply insert your expertise. They have several monthly payment structures, with one of them being completely free. That's always a good thing. So you can see you're still very much needed, as is all of your awesome design, creativity, and space planning genius. But the tedious, time consuming aspect of hand measuring and drawing the perimeter of that space is entered for you. It's now ready for you to create an environment, and of course, make sure it will all fit, and make sure that it reflects your client's lifestyle. And of course, then they will love you and tell all their friends how awesome you are. But that initial job site visit is lickety split. Once you're back at the office after that job site visit, you're ready to dig in. You've collected all your clients' requests. You've no doubt started a file. Could it be that your desk might begin to look a little bit like this, with lots of information coming at you from different sources? Ideas that may or may not pan out that they've sent you? Perhaps there's some sticky notes, a couple of files with various clippings and prints. Um, Perhaps they've sent you a Pinterest board with a list of their wants. Want to make sure you keep that handy. They'll be checking on that. They've probably texted you some pictures of products they saw when they were out shopping on their own. Did you let them shop alone? That's always trouble. Um, and you printed all those emails they sent with features like, oh, they saw it at a friend's house and now they just have to have it. But of course, not exactly like theirs, because it needs to be better than that. Um, and you grabbed those post-it notes from the car, right? There's a couple of those from when she caught you on the way to taking the kiddos to practice. Put those with the sticky notes that your colleague stuck on your monitor when you went out to lunch for 20 minutes. How dare you step out and have lunch and miss her impromptu showroom visit? Oh no. How do you make sure that all of those tidbits of information get collected and translated correctly? And did you get all of them? Are you sure you didn't miss any? Um, and then what's the best way to make sure that all those details get told to the right person at the right time to keep a project on course? These are the kinds of things that have woken me up at 3 a.m. in the past. Things like they did sign off on that color, right? And among all the other sign offs, I did get that. And mm, did I order those color samples? That got processed, right? Um, that cabinet was changed after the contractor moved that wall. And did he get that done yet? Um, and I sent the specs to the electrician for the lighting size change. And the plumber, does he have the updated specs or the original ones? Ooh, there's a lot of details, right? I'm sure you have a checklist already. You have a system already in place, and I'm sure you probably already use your smartphone. And we take pictures to document things, and we keep all of our contacts in there. Um, Perhaps you make beautiful binders for each project. Uh, Take those binders with you to each job site. Little file cabinets we keep on hand. I know I've made a couple of binders in my day with color-coded sections and perfectly labeled tabs that I can file away and grab when I need them. But what about if we could have all of that information accessible at our fingertips? There are digital note-taking apps that we will take a look at next. And then we'll look at some more detailed project management type software that we could integrate as well. But first, I'll share 100 years ago, when I was a little design assistant, a previous mentor of mine once told me, um, think of all the information that's coming at you as needing to go through one single port of entry, sort of like your own little Ellis Island. Um, what she meant by that was choose your system, make that your Ellis Island. Everything filters through there. Consider Evernote. It's one of my favorites that allows you to manage texts, capture images or websites, scan PDFs, store all your sketches, and keep checklists and audio memos all filed in a specific place and searchable. So Evernote was an early leader in the digital note-taking space. It's diverse, it's universal across all the major platforms, and with a business level account, you can use Evernote for real-time chats and collaborations with colleagues. One of its most impressive features is its ability to search text found in images. So if you snap a photograph of a chair, for example, and save it to your Evernote account, you'll later be able to find the note by simply searching for one of the words on that captured image. All of the Notes apps will um, coordinate storing and syncing your digital notes in designated project files, um, which might be something that makes your days easier. You can add reminder tags to tasks that you've entered, so you'll not forget an install or delivery date. Or you can even look up a note based on where you were when you entered it. You can snap a photo of a drawing or receipt, and Evernote will crop it and then adjust the contrast for best um, viewing, and then save it in the defaulted folder. You can clip websites in its article tool, and it'll save just the main content in a readable format, doing away with all the extra stuff, like the navigation menus and advertisements. Um, you can simply drag and drop PDFs into that app. And if you need to jot down something in a hurry, it will take your handwriting or even a speech to text memo and file that accordingly in the folder as well. You can even save your emails into the app. Then that app becomes your Ellis Island. Everything from that project is in one spot, added by multiple users, and searchable uh, with different texts. Another type of digital software is Microsoft OneNote. And if you're all about the free stuff, give this one a whirl. While it offers a lot of the same features, it looks and feels very different than Evernote. So you'll want to see which works best for you. Um, it's much more free form, sort of like a piece of paper. You can add text anywhere instead of being tied to the linear movements of a cursor. It acts like a classic binder with sections and tabs to organize with, or even move things around on a page. Like you can easily put an image or an audio memo right beside text. All in all, it has a lot of the same features as any other note saving app, just not as sophisticated. It's more free flowing. And of course, remember, it's free. Lastly, of the digital note-taking software platforms, consider something like Milanote. Maybe that's more your speed. This app caters towards visual thinkers and is best for capturing images. It's more of a mood board type application, and while you can't sketch on it like you can the others, there are text block tools for notations that you can make, or let's say creating checklists. So when you've collected images from websites and uploaded maybe JPEG or PDF files and detailed them, you can share them with your team in real time. Collaborate, edit, they can upload items in there. There's function buttons along the left-hand side that everyone can then access together. So they also have a free plan that includes up to 100 notes. And if you like it and need additional storage, of course, you can upgrade with their service as well. Okay, still with me? Are you starting to think about all the ways that you could easily track information, create alignment, and communicate easily within your team and to your client and have all that info at your fingertips, even if you're, let's say, lounging at the beach? Okay, good. Let's kick it up a notch. Let's take this concept of digitally collecting measurements, drawings, notes, images, websites, specs, and sketches, and look even more at that Ellis Island approach that can then integrate even more features like tracking and billing and invoicing and assigning tasks and hosting group chats, all in the same app so that all project information is stored, located, communicated, and tracked in one place. So there are many, many, many virtual project management apps and software that can take the place of that old binder system. I'm just going to highlight a couple of them. So again, if any of you have used any that worked well for your business, please do send a message in the comments. And I'd love to hear how well they worked for you or what challenges you've had with them so that we can explore that. These project management apps will do things like organize and detail client selections, track punch lists and their progress, automate your emails for follow up, and even send payment reminders and change order approvals. So these things don't have to be done via multiple spreadsheet edits and emails and repetitive phone calls or digging through paper files. Your time and talent is much too valuable to be spent on those menial tasks, right? Wouldn't it be great if you could see an up to date status of all of that progress or all of those tasks at a glance? Um, One of the popular job project management systems is called Basecamp. It's one that I've used personally to track the progress of a large ongoing project involving several trades with a homeowner that traveled extensively. Um, I had a client that had purchased an old Boy Scout camp. It was an old property, and their intent was to transform that compound, I'll say, to their family retreat. So there was a main cottage and then several rundown smaller cabins that they wanted to refurbish. They were going to have the smaller cabins for each of their children and their respective families. It was a considerable undertaking for sure, and it was in a rural area. This couple didn't live close by, and they traveled overseas on business as well. So having one central repository for all the info worked seamlessly, not only for the general contractor, but for the homeowner as well. They could log in from anywhere and look at for the progress. Um, Basecamp will offer several different collaboration features, such as designated discussion areas where only certain users can have access to and then leave behind comments. It has an area to recap projects that your team is working on, like status updates that could be sent out on a daily basis to whomever you designate. This particular job site even had motion activated cameras um, connected at certain spots because it was so rural. Then the GC or the homeowner could log in and see the progression as well. So this base camp was our Ellis Island for this year-long project. Users can contribute to discussions via email as well that populate into the project discussion boards. And if you're unable to find a particular item, you can search it. Use its search tool to locate files or even conversations. And like all the other apps, it has document file storage, allows client viewing to only what you allow permissions for. And of course, you can try it for free. Just like all the other apps, some will have limited continued usage for free, or you can upgrade to a monthly plan once you get into the swing of things. Basecamp is one that does offer a free structure for smaller projects, and then you can upgrade when you're ready. Ultimately, remember that all these project tracking software, they're meant to streamline the process. So there's, I'm sure, well, I know a bit of a learning curve there, but if you take a minute to simply get comfortable with the layout and flow of the platforms, you could see which one works best for you. Another one of these platforms is called Build Book. You create channels, they call them, or files for each project and upload photos, assign tasks to all of your trades, track along with your client, and ultimately you can invoice right from the app. This particular app was created by brothers who were builders and needed a better way to track their projects and keep their clients in line. It's a little simpler in format than some, but it still offers enough features to be extremely effective and collaborative. They too will offer a free trial, and if you become a member, there's no limit to your storage or user accessibility. Lastly, Ivy is another terrific repository for you and your clients. This one allows you to ideate and share and track job status. You create and share room boards and source products. They have already created these super convenient preloaded templated buttons for your client to approve or decline your selections. You can create proposals and invoices, send and track through the app here as well. So there's no need for multiple texts or piecemealing product searches or even dual entry for approvals and billing statements. Um, because with Ivy, just like all the other project management platforms, it will generate those for you. They too have several different membership rates to suit your usage. So now that we have all our notes, our selections, our communication aspects seamlessly tracked and agreed upon, we'll want a CAD program that can integrate all aspects of our layouts for the technical side of things. Do you have a tool that renders to a true to life perspective, or is just a line rendering enough? Have you researched what your local competitor is doing, and how can you top that? Just like with the few apps we've investigated, from simpler to more complex, each project has its varying degrees of complexity too, and requires varying levels of detailing, right? So you might not create a multi-tabbed binder for every project. Sometimes it's pretty cut and dry. However, every job requires dimensions and collaboration. So what's the best way to quickly design and clearly convey your creation to your team? A good software CAD platform should be able to integrate all of those things. It will be a tool to upload your measurements into, um, utilize the product manufacturers that you prefer to design with, so as to convey the exact look, calculate the exact price, and generate orders for the exact items that you've created. It should integrate all your cabinetry, your plumbing fixtures, your appliance manufacturers. All their product images should be seamless and even allow access to their spec sheets from right inside the program. Again, your Ellis Island for that design. Ideally, then, you could then save all of your renderings, layouts, perspectives, specifications as a PDF so you can add it to your repository site for direct access, and ultimately add it to your presentation and final installation packet as well. There's a lot of options out there, and again, you'll want to see which best suits your business. I like the 2020 design software. It's a CAD program that allows you to pull in those actual appliance and plumbing fixtures so that right alongside your flooring and cabinet and backsplash choices, your countertop selections, all of that is shown accurately in one spot. What a time saver. This one Ellis Island port of entry has everything. It's not just another mood board or another pretty picture. Um, when it comes to those appliance and plumbing fixtures, there's a lot of specifications there to be mindful of, a lot of parts and pieces. So it's really helpful to depict their real life selections there in those designs for size and scale. How many times has a client been confused and said, well, that's not the sink we chose. We have a single bowl, and your drawing shows a double bowl sink. Well, then you have to add your whole disclaimer speech about how this is simply a representation of the space, and the actual appliance fixtures are there as a placeholder depiction for sizing only. And then you're left to enter the actual appliance and fixture selection elsewhere for sign-offs, and then again somewhere else for order entry. What could it add to your process if you were able to design, have your signature um, forms and order forms all from one program? Then you could represent a true to life presentation showing a full 360-degree panoramic view, along with integrating all that information and complete with installation details. Well, that could be a crucial part of closing your deal. So, not only integrating a CAD software platform can make pretty pictures utilizing all of your real life selections, but more importantly, it can be versatile enough to detail all the dimensions your installer will need as well. When it can import all of those accurate manufacturer's products and supply you with your cost and your sell pricing, your design and detailed lighting plans, perhaps, um, design and detailed countertops layouts. Of course, showing your client's actual selections for your quartz countertops, you'll be able to highlight all those details and then order that entire job quickly and easily. For example, a countertop layout um, in a CAD platform should be able to have your calculated square footage, detail the cutouts, as well as designate your finished edges from your appliance edges. So you'll have a layout all set for your fabricator too. All of this in one program, generated with just a few clicks. Then once your room is designed, you could even customize reports to then order with, sell from, um, print out a lighting plan, as well as generate an item list for that scope of work, create multiple views for layouts and your cabinet installation layouts as well, with legends designated how you or your installer prefers them, and as well showing all of your component breakdowns. So hand rendering and coloring these layouts and creating the cabinet list and the reports and then pricing a layout, imagine that might take a little bit longer. And lastly, check out Canva. Here's a great way to consolidate those PDFs that you've already generated into a sleek digital presentation for your client. Canva will have preloaded templates that you can quickly and efficiently integrate those PDFs that you've already produced into a digital brochure or flipbook. How can that set you apart from the rest of the competition? Canva is also, it's not just a presentation um, platform, but it's also super versatile and a huge asset as you're promoting through social media as well. It has preloaded web formatted headers and banners, so you can cross promote without having to be a marketing guru. If you already have your layouts, and your specification forms and your renderings all set, you can import into its own folder that will have it all collaborated together, collected together. You can pull together a presentation with just a few clicks. Instead of sifting through a paper file, printing color renderings, or putting together a physical binder, this could be a huge time saver. And a digital presentation platform like this will help you then create that flipbook presentation that you release at your discretion. You can choose your signature font and backgrounds, or make each one unique to reflect the client's project. Honestly, my favorite aspect of a digital presentation like this is that you can highlight your design work without giving away a hard copy of it. Once you've collected that deposit and are ready to give out all your hard-earned details, then you could email a link to grant access. How many times have you prepared a quote and then given a client a hard copy of your creativity to have it shopped and undercut? So, and while this might not eliminate your designs floating around, it can make it more difficult for it to be replicated and and remain the owner of it. So, as a result of that, having all of those PDFs in one location, you then have all of your work instantly as an on-demand portfolio that can easily be updated and accessed to show potential clients from anywhere at any time, even on the beach. Again, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I hope that this has piqued your interest to review your design process and invited you to leverage some new technology. Just see how you can dip your toe in that pond and see what technology might be helpful for your process. I know that there's some time investment upfront to implement and a learning curve sometimes there, but ultimately you could be designing faster and smarter and collecting those final project payments in full quicker and easier too. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Kimberly. I want to also thank Deborah for their generous sponsorship for today's webinar and all of November's webinars. And there are a couple of questions. Are you ready?
Yes, great. Oh, I'm excited. That's fantastic.
Okay, so we have found that digital measuring can be incredibly difficult and inaccurate when we're working in an existing space that people are living in. The question is, how do you get around that?
Oh gosh. I agree that there are some challenges with it. Um, it's best to have a double check, of course. I think one of the great things about it is that it gives you, once you have that digital measured space, having it uploaded directly to your design software, when you've double checked that on site, then when you get to the office, you can simply tweak it, but you're not starting from scratch. Then you're able to just review a couple, those measurements and then make those corrections.
Okay, great. Then there's a couple of questions here. One of them is, does Magic Plan work with AutoCAD? Can it be integrated?
I believe it can. I'm not sure if I've seen that logo on there. I would have to log on and just take a quick look.
Okay, and then someone's asking, once again, how do you create a Magic Plan account? Can it be on your phone, your computer, your iPad? Is there a way to upload it into 2020?
Yes, yes, and yes. All of the above. You can magicplan.app. You can download the app. You can also grab it from the desktop, same website. Yes, you can download it, and then yes, there is a way to directly into 2020. There's a button directly for it that you can click, and it will. upgrade right from the Magic Plan Cloud into 2020.
I think that kind of answers the question about the format. They're asking what type of format is imported into 2020, and then can you export it back to Magic Plan? That's an interesting question.
Yeah, I don't know if you would need to export it back, but yes, it's easily integrated into 2020 for sure.
Okay, and then I'm not sure if this applies or not, but someone's asking, does 2020 have student memberships? I don't think that applies.
I believe they do, yes. Feel free to call and talk directly with sales. I'm sure that they'll have a plan that fits for you.
Okay, great. And then someone was making a comment here about, you touched on Ivy.co. They also provide specs for products, proposals, POs, time tracking, invoices, and apparently they think it's a great type of program. So that was just a comment. And
Yes,
then,
yes, yes.
and then here's a question. During your most recent years of experience in the market, which brand of computers have you seen uh, more for design software use? Apple computers or PC?
PC. And I like the brand Alienware.
Okay.
They collaborate very nicely with design software as they're more of their graphics are just fantastic and quick. I'm sure that there's many, but that's just one that I've had experience with that I think are seamless.
Okay. And then getting back to that question about the format for um, the importing from Magic Plan, I think the person wants to know the exact type of format that is imported into 2020. Do you have any idea on?
I don't.
Okay.
I
We're
think I have just been so quick. I don't know that I've looked that closely at it. Um, I just load it and go.
okay. Here's a question, or here's a comment about that. Magic Plan. So for Magic Plan, you can export floor plans in your favorite data file format. Magic Plan can export to PDF, JPG, PNG, SVG, CSV, DXF, doc, or XLS files. Wow, well, thank you for that. I
Oh,
appreciate that.
okay. Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so hopefully that answers that. Are there any other questions here while we have our presenter available to us? Yes, the person said
You
thank
know, it's always just integrated right so quickly and when you're out in the field, you're just go go go. I apologize. I hadn't paid attention to those formats. It's that easy. It was load and go, and then you're off and designing.
Okay, here's another question. What is the difference between Magic Plan and Home Designer Pro? Any ideas on that? Magic Plan and
I don't
Home
know
Designer
that I
Pro.
have hands-on experience with Home Designer Pro. I know that 2020 works specifically with Magic Plan, and so you'll want to see which platform you're using and what might integrate easier for you. Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's see. Actually, let's see. I'm looking at some of the questions here. Bear with me for a minute. Someone's saying it's a chief architect product. So um, I think that,
For Home Designer Pro,
yeah,
there we go.
maybe that's kind of the answer.
Right, right.
Uh,
And so you'll want to see which works best for you.
mhm. Here's a comment. This person says, I use OneNote. It's great when it works, but I've had delays when sharing by emails. So that's a comment that someone had. Um, someone,
Hey,
she says, I've had problems. This is a different person. I've had problems working with 2020 as a small custom shop without using the manufacturer's catalogs. Does 2020 offer a better option for custom shops?
I wonder if she's using the sample E and sample F catalogs.
I'm not
And
sure.
if and feel free to call into our awesome support team as they're happy to hop on and walk you through any of that. They'll team viewer in and tackle any of those challenges right alongside with you and fix them.
Oh, here's she says sample F.
Okay, great. Yeah, so that's Fantastic. And I think that you'll find that the version 12 update might even tackle some of those challenges that you've had, and they may have fixed some of those.
Okay, here's another question for you. This person says, I've taken both 2020 in-person courses and haven't learned anything about changing and adjusting the program default settings to suit my own preferences and how to reuse them in new drawings. Who can I talk to or where can I go to learn more about that specifically?
Well, absolutely. Give 2020 a call, and we'd be happy to set up a custom class and walk you through those, and then partner with you to set up those preferences specifically for you. And sometimes with the group classes, that would make sense. I mean, they're very general. There's all different. As I'm sure this person saw, there's all different levels of uh, let's see, where people are at in their career. So if we're looking to have it more personalized, absolutely give 2020 a call, and we'll set up some time to help uh, get those preferences dialed in.
Okay, and someone is asking for that phone number. Can you uh, tell us what that is, please?
You're right, I should have that on hand. Um, and I can get it.
Okay. And then while you're searching for that, if you wouldn't mind, someone's asking, when will version 12 be available?
It is available now.
Okay, good to know.
You can definitely download it already. Yeah.
Okay. And then another question here that someone's thank you for the information. It was really great. Question is about the Magic Plan charge. Do they charge fees or has a free version um, available that can be added to 2020? I'm not sure if you know that or not, but maybe so.
So yes, there's a definite free version, and then you can um, up, upload it to 2020.
Okay, perfect. And then I'm just going to, 2020 East Coast. Someone threw the number in here. Thank you. 514-332-4110. And just this is a question for me. Yes, the recording, we are recording now. That will be available to you tomorrow. Thank you. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add to this, Kimberly? I'm just looking.
I'm all set. I hope that it was helpful. I hope there's a couple tidbits, a couple takeaways that can make your days smoother.
Okay, here's a couple other things. I'll repeat that number. For East Coast, 514-332-4110. There's a question here about how to upload version 12, and then someone would love a class on improving 2020 renderings. So there's those two things.
Fantastic. That's great.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you so much, Kimberly. Once again, want to thank Gebrit and all of you out there for attending today's session. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.